There is something moving through the field right now that most people are going to miss entirely. Not because it is hidden, not because it requires special access or a particular bloodline or a decoder ring handed down through secret lineages. They are going to miss it because they are waiting for the wrong thing. They are standing at the edge of a forest, scanning the horizon for a signal flare, while the thing they have been waiting for is already walking through the trees behind them, already inside the perimeter, already here. You found this transmission. That is not a coincidence, and it is not an accident. But it is also not what you think it means. It does not mean you are special in the way that word usually gets used, elevated above others, chosen in the sense of being selected from a lineup. It means something more precise and more demanding than that. It means your frequency has reached a specific threshold. And when a frequency reaches a threshold, contact becomes possible. Not guaranteed. Possible. What you do with the possibility is the entire question this transmission is built around. The Pleiadian Council is not coming with warnings. Let that land for a moment before you decide what it means. Because the first thing most people do with that statement is either dismiss it entirely or immediately fill it with the framework they already have. The skeptic hears it and closes the door. The believer hears it and opens the folder they have been keeping, the one full of signs and synchronicities and messages they have been collecting, and they start trying to fit this new piece into the pattern they have already decided is true. Both of those responses are the same response wearing different clothes. Both of them are the mind protecting its current state. Both of them are a consciousness that has reached the gate and then, in the moment of arrival, turned sideways to avoid walking through. This transmission is for neither of those people. This is for the one who is willing to stay at the threshold long enough to actually feel what is here. The one who can hold the question without collapsing it prematurely into an answer. The one who senses, somewhere beneath the noise of their daily life, that something has fundamentally shifted in the nature of contact itself, in what it means to receive, in what it means to be chosen, and in what the absence of warnings actually signals about where we are. Because the absence of warnings is the most important part of this. It is the detail that changes everything. When a transmission arrives without warnings, it means the time for warnings has passed. It means the council, whatever you understand that to mean, whatever framework you use to hold the concept of a coordinating intelligence operating at a frequency beyond ordinary human perception, has made a determination. The determination is this: the ones who needed the warnings and were going to receive them have already received them. What is happening now is not preparation. What is happening now is arrival. And arrival requires a completely different posture than preparation. You cannot prepare for something that is already here. You can only meet it or miss it So, let us talk about what is actually happening. Let us talk about the Pleiadian Council, not as mythology, not as science fiction, not as the belief system of a fringe community that the mainstream dismisses, but as a precise description of something that quantum mechanics and consciousness science are beginning to find the language to describe. Let us talk about what contact actually means when you strip away the theatrical version and look at the underlying mechanics. Let us talk about what it means to be chosen, what the Council actually is, why this specific moment in the sequence is the one where warnings stop and something else begins, and what you are supposed to do now that you are standing at this particular gate. Because you are standing at a gate right now, a specific one, not the general gate of awakening that every consciousness channel gestures toward, a specific threshold that has a precise character and a precise set of conditions, and the gate is open. The question is whether you will walk through it eyes open, understanding what you are stepping into, or whether you will walk through it eyes closed, carried by momentum, which means you will arrive on the other side without knowing where you are. Both lead through. Only one leads to mastery. Let us begin with the Pleiades themselves, because grounding this in something real and specific matters. The Pleiades is an open star cluster in the constellation Taurus, approximately 440 light-years from Earth. It contains hundreds of stars, the most visible of which form the pattern known across virtually every ancient culture on this planet. The ancient Greeks called them the Seven Sisters. The Aboriginal Australians tracked them as a calendar system for planting and harvest. The ancient Egyptians oriented the shafts of the Great Pyramid toward the Pleiades. The Hopi people of the American Southwest considered the Pleiades central to their understanding of time and cosmic cycles. The Mayans built Chichen Itza in alignment with the Pleiades. The ancient Japanese called them Subaru, which is why that name was chosen for the car company, because the cluster's shape appears in the logo. This is not a coincidence of mythology. When every major ancient civilization independently orients its most sacred architecture, its most important calendars, its most central cosmological frameworks toward the same cluster of stars, that is a signal. That is the kind of convergence that demands an explanation beyond cultural accident. The explanation that the Pleiadian framework offers is this. There has been a long-running relationship between human consciousness and a coordinating intelligence associated with that cluster. Not a physical relationship in the way science fiction depicts it, not ships landing on the White House lawn, but a frequency relationship, a transmission relationship, an informational relationship operating at the level of consciousness itself. Now here is where it gets precise, and precision is what matters. If this transmission is landing for you, here is something I want to share before we go deeper into the mechanics. Have you spent years shielding yourself from other people's energy, boundaries, releases, energy clearings, and still wake at 3 a.m., running someone else's anxiety. Those tools treat it as outside you. It's not. Your nervous system has adjusted to every room for so long, it forgot its baseline. The sealed timeline, a quantum guide to becoming untouchable by wrong frequencies, walks through the 5-step crossing: the adjusting pattern, the breaking point, the crossing itself, what stable feels like, and why old evidence shows up. Every tool you tried treated this as an outside problem. This one ends the adjusting pattern that made you a receiver in the first place. The longer you adjust, the harder it gets to come back to yourself. Open it tonight. It's in the pinned comment below. Now, back to the thread we were following, into the quantum mechanics that make this frequency relationship not a metaphor, but a precise description of how contact actually works. In quantum mechanics, there is a phenomenon called quantum entanglement. Two particles, once they have interacted, maintain a correlation across any distance. When you measure the state of one particle, the state of the other is instantly determined, regardless of how far apart they are. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance because it violated his intuition about locality, about the idea that things can only influence other things they are in physical contact with. But the experiments are unambiguous. The correlation is real. The distance is irrelevant. What this means is that the universe contains a non-local information layer, a layer where connection does not require proximity, a layer where the separation we experience in ordinary space and time is not the deepest truth about reality. It is a truth. It is the truth of the classical, everyday world. But beneath it, at the quantum level, things that have once been in relationship remain in relationship, regardless of apparent separation. Now extend this principle upward. Not just particles. Consciousness. If consciousness is not separate from the physical substrate of the universe, if it is not a ghost riding inside a biological machine, but is instead a fundamental feature of how information organizes itself in reality, then the principle of non-local correlation applies to consciousness as well. Minds that have once been in relationship, or that share a common origin, or that are operating at the same frequency, maintain a correlation. They are entangled, and information can move between them without physical proximity. This is what contact means. Not a ship, not a physical visitation. A correlation, a frequency match, a quantum entanglement between a human consciousness that has reached a particular threshold and an intelligence that has been in relationship with human consciousness for a very long time. The Pleiadian Council, in this framework, is not a group of beings sitting in a conference room 440 light-years away, voting on whether to send a delegation to Earth. It is a coordinating intelligence, a coherent field of awareness that maintains an entangled relationship with human consciousness at specific frequency thresholds. When a human consciousness reaches one of those thresholds, the correlation activates. Contact becomes possible. Information begins to move. And here is the critical part. The information that moves at this particular threshold, the one we are at right now, is not warning information. Warning information moves at a lower threshold. Warning information is what reaches consciousness that is still primarily operating in the old frequency, the frequency of separation, of fear, of the need for external authority to tell it what to do. Warning information says, "Pay attention. Something is coming. Prepare yourself. There is a danger ahead." Warning information is necessary and valuable, and it has been moving for decades, for generations. The warnings have been issued. The cycles have been described. The patterns have been named. But warning information is not what is moving now. What is moving now is activation information. And activation information is fundamentally different in character. Warning information is about the future. It is about what is coming. Activation information is about the present. It is about what you already are, and what that means for what you are supposed to do right now. The Council is not coming to tell you something is coming. The Council is coming to activate something that is already inside you. Something that has been waiting for this specific frequency threshold to be reached before it could be accessed. This is the gate. This is what you are standing at. And to understand what is on the other side, you need to understand what the phrase "chosen one" actually means when it is stripped of its mythology and examined as a precise description of a functional state. The chosen one narrative is one of the oldest story structures in human culture. It appears in virtually every tradition. The hero with a special destiny, the one who is marked, the one who is called. In its distorted form, this narrative becomes a vehicle for ego inflation. The chosen one is better than others. The chosen one is exempt from the ordinary rules. The chosen one has been selected by cosmic forces to be elevated above the crowd. This version of the story has caused enormous damage. It is the version that produces cults, that produces spiritual narcissism, that produces the particular kind of consciousness that is most certain it is awake and is most thoroughly asleep. But there is a precise version of the chosen one concept that is not about elevation. It is about function. In systems theory, there is a concept called the strange attractor. A strange attractor is a pattern in a complex system toward which the system tends to organize itself. It is not a point, not a simple destination, but a shape in possibility space that the system keeps returning to, that it keeps being drawn toward, even when it is perturbed, even when it is pushed away. The Lorentz attractor, the butterfly-shaped pattern that emerges from certain chaotic systems, is the most famous example. The system never repeats exactly, never traces the same path twice, but it keeps being drawn back into the same overall shape. A chosen one, in this precise sense, is a consciousness that functions as a strange attractor for a particular kind of transformation, not because they are better, not because they have been elevated, but because their specific configuration, the particular way their consciousness is organized, the specific frequency they carry, makes them a natural organizing point for a particular kind of change. They are not above the system. They are inside it, and they function as a point around which certain possibilities organize. The Pleiadian framework, in its most precise form, describes the chosen one not as an individual with a special destiny, but as a consciousness that has reached a specific frequency threshold, and therefore functions as a contact point, a relay, a node in a network. The activation that moves through them does not stay with them. It moves outward. They are not the destination of the transmission. They are the amplifier. This is why the Council is not coming with warnings. Warnings are for people who are still outside the system. Activation is for people who are inside it. And if you are here, if this transmission found you, if you have been feeling what you have been feeling in the last period of time, the strange stillness, the sense that something is ending that you cannot name, the feeling that the life you have been living no longer quite fits, the moments of inexplicable knowing that arrive before the logic does, then you are inside the system. You are at the threshold. And the question is not whether the activation is coming. The question is whether you understand what it is when it arrives. If this transmission is reaching you, if it is landing somewhere real, go ahead and like this video and subscribe so the next one finds you just as easily. Let us talk about what the activation actually feels like, because this is where the mythology usually fails. The mythology describes activation as a dramatic event, a vision, a voice, a moment of blinding light, an unmistakable sign. And sometimes it does arrive that way, but more often, and this is the part that most people miss because they are waiting for the dramatic version. Activation feels like something quieter and stranger and more disorienting than a vision. It feels like a loss of fit. You wake up one day and the life you have been living, the one that made sense last year, the one that felt like yours, no longer fits. Not because it got worse, not because something went wrong. It just stopped fitting, like a coat that was the right size and is now somehow too small, even though you have not visibly changed. The job that was fine is now unbearable. The relationships that were comfortable now feel like they are asking you to be a version of yourself that you are no longer able to perform. The beliefs that organized your world are still there, but they have gone hollow. You can say them, but you cannot feel them anymore. This is not a crisis. This is a phase transition. In physics, a phase transition is what happens when a system reaches a critical threshold and changes state. Water becoming ice, ice becoming steam. The molecules do not change. The atoms do not change. But the organization of the system changes completely and irreversibly. Below the threshold, the old state is stable. At the threshold, the system becomes unstable, chaotic, sensitive to tiny perturbations. Above the threshold, a new state of organization emerges that was not present before and cannot be forced back into the old form. The loss of fit you are experiencing is the instability at the threshold. The old state is no longer stable. The new state has not yet fully emerged. You are in the phase transition itself. And the disorientation you feel is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that the transition is real. A system that is not changing does not feel unstable. Only a system that is actually in transition feels the ground shift beneath it. The Council is not coming to stabilize you in the old state. The Council is not coming to make the coat fit again. The Council is coming to activate the new state. And the new state requires that the old one fully releases. This is why there are no warnings. Warnings would imply that the transition is optional. That if you prepare correctly, you can avoid the instability. But the instability is the transition. You cannot have one without the other. The only question is whether you move through the instability with understanding or without it. Now, I want to tell you about two people. I will call them Mira and Elias. They are not the same person. They are not composite characters meant to represent a type. They are two distinct responses to the same threshold. And understanding the difference between them is the most practically useful thing in this transmission. Mira had been feeling the loss of fit for about 2 years before the threshold became impossible to ignore. She had a career that looked successful from the outside, relationships that looked functional, a life that looked like what she had been working toward. But inside, there was this growing sense of wrongness that she could not locate. Not depression exactly, not anxiety exactly, more like the feeling of wearing someone else's life, like she had been handed a script for a character she did not recognize, and had been performing it so well for so long that she had forgotten it was a performance. When the Pleiadian material found her, she did what most people do first. She consumed it. She read everything, watched everything, collected every piece of information she could find about the councils and the transmissions and the star families and the missions. She built a framework. She developed a vocabulary. She found a community of people who were using the same vocabulary. And for a while, this felt like the answer. The framework gave her a way to explain the wrongness. The community gave her a sense of belonging. The vocabulary gave her a new identity to inhabit. But after a while, something uncomfortable happened. The framework became the new coat that did not fit. The vocabulary became a new performance. The community became a new set of expectations she was performing for. She had crossed from one story into another story without ever leaving the level of story. She had changed the content of her beliefs without changing the frequency of her consciousness. She had rearranged the furniture in the old house without ever stepping through the gate. The activation had reached her. She had received the signal, but she had processed it through the mind that needed to change rather than allowing it to change that mind. She had made the Pleiadian Council into a new version of the same old thing, an external authority that would tell her what to do, what to believe, who to be. She had replaced one framework with another without ever standing in the space between frameworks, the liminal space, the threshold itself, where the actual transformation happens. Elias arrived at the same material through a completely different path. He had been through what he could only describe as a collapse. Not a dramatic one, not a breakdown in the clinical sense, more like a slow dissolution. The things he had organized his life around, his ambitions, his certainties, his carefully constructed sense of who he was and where he was going, had quietly come apart over the course of about 18 months. He had not done anything to cause it. He had not made any dramatic decisions. It had simply happened, the way a tide goes out, not because you pushed it, but because the cycle turned. By the time the Pleiadian material found him, he was not looking for a new framework. He had stopped trusting frameworks. He was not looking for a new community. He had stopped trusting belonging that required performance. He was not looking for a new identity. He had stopped trusting identities entirely. What he was looking for, though he would not have been able to name it this way at the time, was permission to be in the space between, permission to be in the phase transition without forcing it to resolve, permission to exist at the threshold without immediately stepping either backward into the old state or forward into a new story. When the activation found him, it found him empty enough to actually receive it. Not empty in the sense of depressed or defeated, empty in the sense of available. His hands were not full of the old things. There was room. And what he found on the other side of that emptiness was not a new framework. It was a new frequency, a new way of processing reality that was not organized around belief, but around direct sensing. A new relationship to knowing that did not require external validation. A new capacity for contact that did not need to be translated into a story before it was real. The difference between Mira and Elias is not intelligence. It is not spiritual advancement. It is not that one was chosen and the other was not. The difference is this. Mira tried to understand the activation before she allowed it to change her. Elias allowed it to change him before he tried to understand it. The gate requires that you walk through it before you know what is on the other side. That is what makes it a gate and not a window. You cannot see through a gate. You can only go through it. I want to pause here and ask you something directly. Has there been a moment in your life when you knew, without being able to explain it, that you had crossed a point of no return? A moment when everything shifted at once, when the version of you that existed before it could not be recovered? Drop it in the comments, not the story around it, just the quality of it, what it felt like to be standing at that edge. Now, let us talk about the mechanics of what actually changes when you cross this particular threshold, because this is the part that the mythology usually skips over in favor of the dramatic. The mythology says, you cross the threshold and you are transformed. You receive the activation and you become a new version of yourself. You are chosen, and therefore your life changes. But the mechanics of the change are specific and worth examining precisely. The first thing that changes is your relationship to uncertainty. Before the threshold, uncertainty is a problem to be solved. The mind in the old state experiences uncertainty as a threat. It is always trying to close the loop, to resolve the open question, to land on a conclusion. This is not a character flaw. It is a survival mechanism. The old state is organized around the need for predictability. Predictability is safety. Uncertainty is danger. So the mind is constantly working to convert uncertainty into certainty, even false certainty, even a certainty that is not actually true, because the feeling of certainty is what it is optimizing for, not accuracy. After the threshold, uncertainty becomes information. Not comfortable information, not pleasant information, but information. The open question stops being a threat and starts being a signal. The not knowing stops being a failure state and starts being a navigational tool. You begin to notice that the moments of genuine uncertainty, the ones where you genuinely do not know, are often the moments where something new is trying to enter. The moments where you are most certain are often the moments where you are most defended. This shift does not happen because you decided to be more comfortable with uncertainty. It happens because the frequency of your consciousness changes, and at the new frequency, uncertainty is experienced differently. It is a structural change, not a behavioral one. You do not choose to tolerate uncertainty better. You stop needing certainty in the way you used to need it, because the thing that was driving the need, the frequency of the old state, has changed. The second thing that changes is your relationship to external authority. Before the threshold, External authority is the primary source of validation. You know something is true because someone you trust told you it was true. You know you are on the right path because the path looks like what you have been told a right path looks like. You know you are enough because enough people have reflected that back to you. The old state is organized around this need for external confirmation, not because you are weak or dependent, but because the old state is fundamentally relational in a specific way. It constructs its sense of reality from the outside in. After the threshold, the direction of construction reverses. Reality begins to be constructed from the inside out. Not in a solipsistic way, not in the way that says the external world does not matter, but in the way that says your primary source of knowing is internal. You begin to trust your own direct sensing over the consensus. Not arrogantly, not dismissively, but with a quiet confidence that does not require external validation to feel real. This is why the Council is not coming with warnings. Warnings are external authority, speaking to a consciousness that is organized around external authority. Activation is an internal awakening that does not require external authority, because the authority is now internal. The Council is not telling you what to think. It is activating your capacity to know directly. After the threshold, you do not need to be warned. You sense. The third thing that changes, and this one is the most practically disruptive, is your relationship to time. Before the threshold, time is experienced as a line. There is a past that explains the present, and a future that the present is building toward. The old state is organized around this linear narrative. Identity is the story of how you got here. Purpose is the project of building toward there. Meaning is the coherence of the line. After the threshold, time is experienced differently, not as a line, but as a field. The past is not a fixed sequence of events, but a living influence that is present in the now. The future is not a destination to be reached, but a set of probabilities that are being shaped by the frequency you are holding right now. The present is not a point on a line, but a threshold between states, the place where the probability field collapses into actual experience. This is not a metaphor. This is the actual phenomenology of what consciousness experiences at the new frequency. And it is disorienting at first, because the mind in the old state is very good at the linear narrative and very bad at the field. The field does not feel like progress. It does not feel like you are getting somewhere. It feels like you are always here, which you are. But the old mind experiences this as failure, as stagnation, as being stuck. You are not stuck. You have crossed a threshold into a different relationship with time, and the old metrics for progress no longer apply. New metrics are available, but they take time to develop. The disorientation is temporary. The new relationship with time is permanent. Let us talk about the practice now, because understanding the mechanics is one thing. Crossing the threshold is another. And the crossing requires more than comprehension. It requires a specific kind of attention, a specific kind of presence that I want to walk you through now. Find a position that is comfortable, but not so comfortable that you will drift into sleep. You want to be alert. You want to be present. If you are sitting, let your spine be long. If you are lying down, let your body be completely supported so that no part of you is holding tension to maintain a position. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Let the external world recede. Not disappear, just recede. Like turning down the volume on a sound that has been too loud for too long. Now bring your attention to the threshold. Not a metaphorical threshold, a specific one. The one you are actually standing at right now. You know what it is. Some part of you has known for a while. It is the thing that no longer fits. The role, the relationship, the belief, the story about yourself that has gone hollow. The version of your life that you have been maintaining through effort rather than through genuine alignment. You know what it is, You have been trying not to look directly at it, because looking directly at it makes it real. Let it be real now. Let yourself look at it. Feel the edge of it, not the story about it. The actual felt sense of the edge. Where in your body do you feel the threshold? Most people feel it in the chest, a tightness, a held quality like something is being compressed. Some people feel it in the throat, the place where the unsaid thing lives. Some people feel it in the belly, the deep knowing that has been overridden by the mind's need to maintain the story. Find where you feel it. And instead of trying to resolve it, instead of trying to figure it out, or fix it, or make it go away, just stay there. At the edge, at the threshold. Let yourself be exactly where you are. Now sense what is on the other side. Not what you hope is on the other side. Not what you fear is on the other side. What you actually sense is on the other side. Let the sensing be prior to the story, before the mind makes it into a narrative. What is the quality of what is on the other side of this threshold? Most people, when they do this honestly, sense something that surprises them. They expect to sense relief, or they expect to sense fear. What they actually sense is something more neutral and more vast, a spaciousness, a quiet, not emptiness in the depleted sense, but emptiness in the available sense. Room. The sensation of room. That is the new frequency. That is what is waiting on the other side of the threshold you have been standing at. Not a dramatic transformation, not a new identity to inhabit, room, spaciousness, the freedom that comes when you stop spending your energy maintaining a state that no longer fits. Now, and this is the crossing itself, take one breath in. Let it be full. Let it reach the bottom of your lungs. Hold it for just a moment at the top. Not forcing, just pausing. This is the moment before the crossing. This is the gate itself. The held breath is the threshold, and then let it go. All of it. The breath and the held thing, the story and the effort, the version of you that was maintaining the old state. Let it go with the exhale. You have crossed, not completely, not permanently in the sense that there is no more work to do. But you have crossed. Something has shifted. The frequency has moved. You are on the other side of something, and the other side is real. Stay here for a moment. Let the new frequency settle. Do not immediately reach for a new story to put on top of it. Do not immediately start planning what this means for your life. Just be in the new state. Let it be what it is before the mind starts interpreting it. This is what the activation feels like. Not a vision, not a voice. A shift in frequency, a change in the felt quality of your own consciousness, a new spaciousness where there was compression. This is the Council's transmission. Not information delivered from outside. A frequency shift activated from within. Open your eyes when you are ready. And notice that the world looks the same. The same room, the same body, the same life. And yet something is different. The difference is not in the external world. The difference is in the frequency from which you are perceiving it. And that difference changes everything. Not because the world changed, but because you are no longer the same filter through which the world is being experienced. Now, let us talk about what happens in the days and weeks after a threshold crossing. Because this is the part that most people are not prepared for, and the lack of preparation is what causes people to inadvertently step back through the gate they just crossed. The first thing that happens is that the old state tries to reassert itself. This is not a metaphor for weakness or spiritual failure. It is a description of a real physical phenomenon. In physics, there is a concept called hysteresis. Hysteresis describes the tendency of a system to lag behind changes in the conditions that are causing it to change. A magnet that has been magnetized retains some of its magnetization even after the magnetizing field is removed. A material that has been stressed retains some of the deformation even after the stress is released. The old state leaves a trace. It has momentum. It does not simply vanish because the threshold has been crossed. What this means practically is that after a threshold crossing, you will have moments, sometimes extended periods, where the old frequency reasserts, where the old stories feel true again, where the loss of fit you were experiencing before the crossing seems to resolve back into the familiar, and the familiar feels like home again. This is the hysteresis of consciousness. The old state pulling back, the old frequency reasserting its claim. Most people interpret this as evidence that the crossing did not work, that they imagined it, that they are not actually changed, that they need to go back and do the work again. This interpretation is incorrect, and it is costly. The reassertion of the old state is not evidence that the crossing failed. It is evidence that the crossing was real. You cannot have hysteresis without a genuine change of state. The pullback is the old state's response to the change, not evidence that the change did not happen. What you do during these periods of pullback determines whether you consolidate the new state or whether you drift back into the old one. And what you do is this. You do not fight the pullback. You do not try to force yourself back into the new frequency by will. You simply notice that the pullback is happening. You name it. This is the old state reasserting. This is hysteresis. This is not the truth of where I am. It is the echo of where I was. And then you return to the practice. The breath at the threshold. The sensing of what is on the other side. The choice to stay in the new frequency rather than the familiar one. This is not a one-time crossing. It is a consolidation process, and the consolidation takes time. But each time you choose the new frequency over the pull of the old one, the new state becomes more stable. The hysteresis decreases. The old state's claim on you weakens, until eventually the new frequency is the baseline, and the old one is what feels foreign. The second thing that happens after a threshold crossing is that your relationships change. Not necessarily in the sense that people leave your life, though sometimes that happens. More precisely, your relationships change in the sense that the dynamics that were organized around the old frequency no longer work in the same way. People who were in relationship with the old version of you will notice that something is different, even if they cannot name it. Some of them will adjust. Some of them will resist. Some of them will become uncomfortable in ways that they express as criticism or concern or a sudden need to convince you that you are making a mistake. This is not malice. It is frequency dissonance. When two things that have been entrained to the same frequency suddenly diverge, there is friction. The friction is real and it is uncomfortable. But it is not evidence that you have done something wrong. It is evidence that the change is real. The people in your life who are also at the threshold, who are also in the phase transition, who are also feeling the loss of fit, will respond to your crossing differently. They will feel it as a permission. Your willingness to cross will make the crossing more available to them. Not because you told them to cross, not because you taught them anything, but because frequency is contagious, in the same way that a phase transition can propagate through a system from a single nucleation point. In physics, when water is supercooled below its freezing point without freezing, it exists in a metastable state. It is below the threshold temperature,